Welcome into another episode of the UCLA Bruins Insider Podcast on Sports Illustrated from the Fans First Sports Network. I'm Tom Cavanaugh, and you can follow myself on Twitter/X at TCAV30. You can follow our insider pages at UCLA Insider on SI, both on Twitter/X and Facebook, and then type in UCLA Sports Illustrated in your search bar to find all of our daily content. Today is Saturday, November 30th. Hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. Today, we're going to be talking about a few different things within UCLA, talking a little women's basketball. One Student of the Athlete of the Week award was given out. Going to look at three keys to the Bruins football team in their trek to win their final game of the year, taking on Fresno State, trying to finish out the year on the right note. Fresno State coming in at 6-5. The Bruins are 4-7, ineligible for a bowl game, and just trying to send their seniors out on the right note. Also, not to mention that the men's basketball team, their bitter rival USC, just lost in an embarrassing fashion. We'll get you a breakdown of that as well towards the end. First, we're going to start with the three key stats for this Bruins win. They're taking on a non-conference team, in-state opponent in Fresno State, a team that kind of was middle of the pack in the Mountain West at 6-5 currently, just took down Colorado State, who was in the top three in most statistics in that conference. But when you look at what happened last week against the Trojans, you have to take some of those and utilize those into these keys. And everything that we talk about here today is kind of going to play off of what happened and what the struggles were for this team in a very disappointing loss at home against USC a week ago. So first, it's hitting a 40% third down conversion rate. This team was 3 of 12 on third down last week. They've struggled on third down all year long. And when you're 3 of 12, when you get to third down, you don't get it. Sometimes you're having to be forced to go for it on fourth down. And the Bruins were 0 for 3 on fourth down conversions in that game as well. So they just, when they needed a big play, they absolutely never got it. And that is, you can't win ball games not getting clutch plays like that. So the Fresno State's not a bad team. I mean, they got a good offense. Their defense is top 5 in their conference. I still think the Bruins have the firepower and the talent to do it, but they got to execute. They have to figure out how to get off or stay on the field on third down. And extend drives. There are too many times when they go 3 and out, or they get one first down and then putter out near the 50-yard line. They need to be able to control the clock, put together a 4, 5, 6, 7-minute drive, go down the field 85 yards, and punch it in for 6. They're settling for field goals too often because they're getting stopped on third down, specifically in the red zone, which we'll get to in a minute. But 40% third down conversion rate is right about where you want to be. 50% is really good. I'm not asking for them to go over the moon here. 40% is probably accurate. I think they could go 5 of 11, 5 of 12, 4 of 10, something like that, and they'll be just fine. Secondly is going to be the penalties. This is probably the biggest issue that the Bruins have had all year long. I mean, when you look at the last 6 games, they've had 8 or more penalties in every single game, exceeding 40 yards or more. So it's been a lack of discipline this year, which is ironic because the first pillar on head coach Deshaun Foster's DRE monogram that he uses, his acronym that he uses to motivate this team, the D stands for discipline. And yet we're seeing false starts, unsportsmanlike conducts. We're seeing late hits on the quarterback in big situations when you intercept the pass. So many different things that are leading to this team losing games, and they're coming at the most untimely points in the game. Happened last week against the Trojans, happened 2 weeks ago against Washington, happened against Iowa and Nebraska, but they were able to come out with wins in those games and overcome the penalties. Weren't so lucky this past weekend. They put up 8 penalties last week against the Trojans. That's the lowest number they've put up in the last 6 games. They need to reduce that. That needs to be about a 4, 5, 6 is still a lot, but anywhere between there, less than 8 penalties, that's going to help you win this ball game because there's been times when they've had a third down stop, but an unsportsmanlike conduct after the whistle penalty comes in, or a false start when you're on the 5-yard line ready to punch it in on 1st and goal, and then you take a sack, and now you're at 3rd down or 2nd down and 20. So certain stuff like that has really plagued this team and led to a lot of their issues over the last couple of games. So I think cleaning up the penalties is going to be a big deal, and then also capitalizing on turnovers. They didn't have as many opportunities for this last week. They just turned over the Trojans once on downs, were unable to score any points off of it. But you take it back to that Washington game, they picked off the Huskies twice to start the second half, and they were only able to muster 3 points out of it. And both interceptions came on the opposite side of the 50. They were in enemy territory when they got the ball off the turnovers. Got to find a way to get more than just 3 points in 2 possessions there. And looking at the stats, Mikey Keene, the quarterback for Fresno State, he's got 11 interceptions this year in 11 games. Odds are that he's averaging one a game, he's going to throw you one. So when the Bruins do pick him off at some point, I bet they will, find yourself in the red zone at some point on that ensuing drive and find yourself a touchdown, because it's been very frustrating for definitely the coaching staff and this team and just everybody around UCLA to see that when they do get that big interception, because their defense has been awesome. Give Akaika Malloy a lot of credit. He's a finalist for the Broyles Award, which comes down to the best top coordinator in the conference, or sorry, in college football. Best coordinator in college football. I mean, he's a semifinalist for that award, and rightfully so, because he's been able to turn that team around defensively, specifically in the second half of the season. So they're doing their job. It's got to be the offense that comes through, because they've really struggled this season in a myriad of ways. So that's the 3 keys. Find a way to capitalize off of turnovers when you get them, limit the penalties, pick up the discipline, and also pick up the third down conversion rate as well. That's going to get it done. So in other news, when we're looking at the Bruins, we're going to look over at the women's basketball side of things. Lauren Betts, the junior center, she's in her second season with UCLA, transfer from Stanford, and she had her lowest point total game. She's actually had 31 back against Colgate earlier this season, but had 11 points, 14 rebounds, her 4th double-double, 3rd straight double-double over South Carolina in that upset win. Lauren earned UCLA Athletics' Student Athlete of the Week, and it was well-deserved for what she's been able to do, not only in that game specifically, pulling down a season-high 14 rebounds, but also impacting the game in other ways. When you listen to what head coach Corey Close said post-game, she talked about Lauren and said she didn't have her best game, but she was mentally tough, and she was moving on to that next play, because this was a very high-pressure game. When you're looking to knock off a team that hasn't lost in 43 games, totaling over 600 days, there's going to be some nerves and some pressure there when you're in that late second half and you're thinking, oh, we might be able to pull this off. She stayed steady, and she was able to really help the game in multiple ways to help them get it done. So big shout-out to Lauren Betts for earning that award and for playing so well for her team. And the final thing we'll talk about is USC basketball, man, men's basketball. They lost earlier on Thanksgiving night, 71-36 to St. Mary's. 71-36. That's a 35-point loss, and you only scored 36 points. I was scrolling Twitter, and I saw that line come out. Big shout out to USC's Twitter, by the way, because a lot of teams, when they get their butts handed to them like that, they will not even recognize the score and tweet it out. So whoever's the social media handle guy for USC, big shout out to you for posting the score up. But my goodness, they were 0 for 12 from 3-point range. They were 13 of 50 across the entire game from the field. And giving up 71 points, I mean, that's not terrible. Most teams do average anywhere around the high 60s to the low 80s. In men's Division I college basketball. So, but 36 points is unheard of from a Division I team, specifically in the Big Ten. I was very shocked to see that their top guy scored 12 points, their next had 8, and everybody else had either 2 or 4 points. It was incredible. I mean, 4 out of the 5 starting 5 guys had 7 points. This is going to be, I mean, right now, 5-2 is the record for USC. I think they're going to have a decent year, but after seeing that getting destroyed by 30 plus points, and you're only able to score 40 or not even 40, that's kind of a look in the mirror moment. Now, these two teams between the Bruins and the Trojans, they'll match up in their rivalry game in late January. It's going to be January 27th. It's going to be telling to see kind of where the Bruins and Trojans stack up within this rivalry this season, because either USC is going to continue on the path that they're on, doing exactly this and poor shooting, giving up points and losing a lot of games, or they're going to turn that corner and look a lot like what UCLA is doing right now. The Bruins, I mean, one of the deepest teams in college basketball, specifically in the Big Ten, a lot of talent, a lot of shooters. And I think the Bruins saw that score and said, boy, we can't wait to play them. That's going to do it for us here at the UCLA Bruins Insider Podcast on Sports Illustrated from the Fans First Sports Network. My name is Tom Cavanaugh. Once again, you can follow me at TCAV30 on Twitter/X. Thanks so much, everybody. We will see you again tomorrow.